Hi everybody, we're going to read Hamlet Act I together. Um, if you look at your very first page of your copy of the play, there should be a list of characters, dramatis personae. And you see, we're just going to look at some of the main characters together so we know what we're dealing with before we start reading. We have Claudius. He is the king of Denmark. Hamlet, son to the late King Hamlet. Hamlet's dad, also named Hamlet, is dead. He was the former king, and now Claudius is king. We're also going to meet in Act I Polonius, who's the Lord Chamberlain, kind of like the Prime Minister. Horatio, who is Hamlet's friend. Laertes, who is Polonius's son. I'm going to skip down. We're also going to meet Ophelia, Laertes' sister and Polonius's daughter. We're also going to meet Gertrude, Queen of Denmark and mother to Hamlet. What did we just say? Hamlet's dad, Hamlet Sr., was king, and he is dead. His mother, the queen, is now married to the current king of Denmark. All right? You will find out more about their relationship shortly. So we're going to start at Act 1, Scene 1. And it says, your edition probably has some sort of stage direction or tells you where it's happening, maybe in a footnote. Mine says Elsinore Castle, a guard platform. We're outside. There are guards keeping watch, and Bernardo and Francisco are the first characters we're going to meet, two sentinels. I am not going to read who's talking every time. I'm just going to talk for all the characters. You should follow along in your book, and then you'll know, when I'm changing character. Who's there? Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. Long live the king. Bernardo? He? You come most carefully upon your hour. 'Tis now struck 12. Get thee to bed, Francisco. For this relief, much thanks. 'Tis bitter cold, and I am sick at heart. They're changing the guard. Right? He called out to him, who are you? Who's coming? Oh, it's me. It's me. Oh, yeah, you came. Perfect timing. It's time to relieve me of the guard. Have you had quiet guard? Not a mouse stirring. Well, good night. If you do meet Horatio and Marcellus, the rivals of my watch, bid them make haste. Horatio and Marcellus are two more who are going to join him in his watch, who right then come up. I think I hear them. Stand, ho, who is there? Friends to this ground, and liegemen to the Dane. Give you good night. Oh, farewell, honest soldier. Who hath relieved you? Bernardo hath my place. Well, give you good night. And Francisco leaves. Hola, Bernardo! Say, what, is Horatio there? A piece of him. Welcome, Horatio. Welcome, good Marcellus. What? Has this thing appeared again tonight? I've seen nothing. Horatio says 'tis but our fantasy, and will not let belief take hold of him touching this dreaded sight, twice seen of us. The guards have been seeing something, and they've invited Horatio to come take a look, but Horatio doesn't believe they're seeing anything. Therefore I have entreated him with us to watch the minutes of this night, that if again this apparition come, he may approve our eyes and speak to it. Tush, tush, 'twill not appear. Sit down a while, and let us once again assail your ears that are so fortified against our story, what we have two nights seen. Well, sit we down, and let us hear Bernardo speak of this. Last night, of all, when yon same star that's westward from the pole had made his course to illumine that part of heaven where now it burns, Marcellus and myself the bell-then-beating one. And while he's talking, a ghost enters. Peace! Break thee off! Look where it comes again! In the same figure like the king that's dead. Thou art a scholar. Speak to it, Horatio. He's a scholar. Horatio knows Latin. He's been to school, and therefore they thought that he could speak to spirits. Looks it not like the king? Mark it, Horatio. Most like. It harrows me with fear and wonder. It would be spoke to. Speak to it, Horatio. What art thou that usurps this time of night, together with that fair and warlike form in which the majesty of buried Denmark did sometimes march? By heaven, I charge thee, speak! Who are you with that fair and warlike form that the dead king of Denmark used to wear? You look like the king. It is offended. See, it stalks away. Stay, speak, speak, I charge thee, speak! And it leaves. 'Tis gone, and will not answer. How now, Horatio? You tremble and look pale. Is not this something more than fantasy? What think you on it? Before my God, I might not this believe without the sensible and true avouch of my own eyes. Is not like the king? As thou art to thyself, such was the very armour he had on when he the ambitious Norway combated. So frowned he once when, in an angry parle, he smote the sledded Polacks on the ice. 'Tis strange. Thus, twice before, and jump at this dead hour, with martial stalk, hath he gone by our watch. In what particular thought to work, I know not, but in some gross and scope of mine opinion, this bodes some strange eruption to our state. Horatio thinks, I don't know what to make of this, but I think this is an omen. This is a presage of something. Good, now, sit down and tell me, he that knows, why this same strict and most observant watch so nightly toils the subject of the land, and why such daily cast of brazen cannon, and foreign mart for implements of war, why such impress of shipwrights, whose sore task does not divide the Sunday from the week? What might be toward, that this sweaty haste doth make the night joint labor with the day? Who's it that can inform me? Marcellus says, okay, who can tell me why we're keeping watch? Why are there cannons and armor and weaponry moving to and fro? We don't divide the Sunday from the week. They're working 24/7. What's up? Horatio tells him, that can I. At least the whisper goes so. Our last king, whose image even but now appeared to us, was, as you know, by Fortinbras of Norway, thereto pricked on by a most emulate pride, dared to the combat, in which our valiant Hamlet, for so this side of our known world esteemed him, did slay this Fortinbras, who, by a sealed compact, well ratified by law and heraldry, did forfeit, with his life, all those his lands which he stood seized of, to the conqueror, against the which a moiety competent was gauged by our king, which had returned to the inheritance of Fortinbras, had he been the vanquisher, as, by the same comart and carriage of the article designed, his fell to Hamlet. All right, so the former King Hamlet fought the King of Norway in a combat, single combat, and killed him. And so they had arranged that some of the lands of Fortinbras should go to Denmark. Now, sir, young Fortinbras, the new King of Norway, whose father was killed by the former King Hamlet, of unimproved metal, hot and full, hath in the skirts of Norway here and there sharked up a list of lawless resolutes, for food and diet to some enterprise that hath some stomach in it, which is no other, as it doth well appear unto our state, but to recover of us, by strong hand and terms compulsatory, those aforesaid lands so by his father lost. And this, I take it, is the main motive of our preparations, the source of this watch, and the chief head of this post-haste and roamage in the land. Right, so there is an impending war, again with Norway, apparently, because young Fortinbras wants to take the lands back that were won fair and square by Denmark. I think it be no other but e'en so. Well may it sort that this portentous figure comes armed through our watch, so like the king that was and is the question of these wars. A mode it is to trouble the mind's eye. In the most high and palmy state of Rome, a little ere the mightiest Julius fell, the graves stood tenantless, and the sheeted dead did squeak and gibber in the Roman streets, as stars with trains of fire and dews of blood, disasters in the sun. And the moist star upon whose influence Neptune's empire stands was sick almost to doomsday with eclipse. And even the light precurse of feared events, as harbingers preceding still the fates and prologue to the omen coming on, have heaven and earth together demonstrated unto our climatures and countrymen. Horatio says, right before Caesar got killed, there were all sorts of weird portents in the sky. There was an eclipse of the moon. That's the moist star. Ghosts walked the streets. And it was a warning to everybody that something was going to move and shake. And I think this is happening to us, says Horatio. I think something similar is meant by this. And right then the ghost comes back. But soft, behold, look where it comes again. I'll cross it, though it blast me. Stay, illusion! If thou hast any sound or use of voice, speak to me. It spreads its arms. If there be any good thing to be done that may to thee do ease and grace to me, speak to me. If thou art privy to thy country's fate, which happily foreknowing may avoid, oh, speak! Or if thou hast uphoarded in thy life extorted treasure in the womb of the earth, for which they say you spirits oft walk in death, speak of it. Cock crows, a rooster crows. Stay, and speak. Stop it, Marcellus. Shall I strike at it with my partisan? Do, if it will not stand. 'Tis here, 'tis here. 'Tis gone. We do it wrong, being so majestical to offer it show of violence, for it is as the air invulnerable, and our vain blows malicious mockery. It was about to speak when the cock crew, and then it started like a guilty thing upon a fearful summons. I have heard that cock, that is the trumpet to the morn, doth with his lofty and shrill-sounding throat awake the god of day, and at his warning, whether in sea or fire, in earth or air, the extravagant and erring spirit hies to his confine. And of the truth herein, this present object made probation. I've heard that the rooster crow is the harbinger of day, and when daylight's about to come, all spirits that walk the night, they have to go back to wherever they have to stay during the day. It faded on the crowing of the cock. Some say that ever against that season comes wherein our Saviour's birth is celebrated. The bird of dawning singeth all night long. And then they say, no spirit dare stir abroad. The nights are wholesome, then no planets strike, no fairy takes, nor witch hath power to charm. So hallowed and so gracious is that time. Because, I've heard around Christmas time, roosters crow all night long, so that no spirits can walk, there can be nothing unwholesome or wicked. So have I heard, and do in part believe it. But look, the morn, in russet mantle clad, walks o'er the dew of yon high eastward hill. Break we our watch up, and by my advice, let us impart what we have seen tonight unto young Hamlet. For upon my life, this spirit, dumb to us, will speak to him. Do you consent we shall acquaint him with it, as needful in our loves, fitting our duty? Let's do it, I pray. And I this morning know where we shall find him most conveniently. So, we should tell Hamlet, we should tell young Hamlet, the former king Hamlet's son, the former king that we think we just saw the ghost of. We should ask his son and see what he thinks. Okay, that is the end of scene 1. Scene 2, we're in the castle. And the king is talking. He's there with Gertrude, his wife, his counselors, Polonius, his right-hand man, and Polonius' son Laertes, Hamlet, and others. And King Claudius is speaking. Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brother's death, who was the former king? Claudius's brother. Claudius is Hamlet's uncle. And his mom, after her husband died, married his brother, which was not cool. The church, the medievals, were not cool with this. marrying your in-laws. But she did. So Hamlet's former uncle is now the king, and Hamlet's former uncle is now his stepdad. All right, let's start again. Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brother's death, the memory be green, and that it us be fitted to bear our hearts in grief, and our whole kingdom to be contracted in one brow of woe. Yet so far hath discretion fought with nature, that we with wisest sorrow think on him, together with remembrance of ourselves. Therefore, our sometime sister, now our queen, the imperial jointress to this warlike state, have we, as 'twere with a defeated joy, with an auspicious and a drooping eye, and a dropping eye, with mirth in funeral, and with dirge in marriage, in equal scale weighing delight and dole, taken to wife. I've married Gertrude, he announces, and, we just got done with the funeral, so we're trying not to be too festive about it. So, with an auspicious and a dropping eye, with mirth in funeral, and dirge in marriage, we've got married. Nor have we herein barred your better wisdoms, which have freely gone with this affair along. You all agreed that this was okay for us to do. For all, our thanks. Now follows that young Fortinbras, holding a weak supposal of our worth, or thinking by our late dear brother's death our state to be disjoint and out of frame, colleagued with this dream of his advantage, he hath not failed to pester us with message importing the surrender of those lands lost by his father, with all bands of law, to our most valiant brother. So much for him. Now, for ourself, and for this time of meeting, thus much the business is. We have here writ to Norway, uncle of young Fortinbras, who, impotent and bedrid, scarcely hears of this his nephew's purpose, to suppress his further gait herein, in that the levies, the lists, and full proportions are all made out of his subject. And we here dispatch you, good Cornelius, and you, Voltimand, for bearers of this greeting to old Norway, giving to you no further personal power to business with the king, more than the scope of these delated articles allow. Farewell, and let your haste come in your duty. So he's giving to these two messengers a message to Fortinbras's uncle, who apparently does not know what his nephew is up to, that he's putting together forces and going to try to attack Denmark. And he's going to tell him, would you do something about your nephew? The legates, the messengers say, in that and all things we will show our duty. And we doubt it not, nothing. Heartily farewell. And they leave. And now, Laertes, what's the news with you? You told us of some suit. What is it, Laertes? You cannot speak of reason to the Dane and lose your voice. What wouldst thou beg, Laertes, that shall not be my offer, not thy asking? Hey, Laertes, what do you want? I heard you want something? Just ask. I'll do anything. I love your dad. You're great. Just tell me what you want. The head is not more native to the heart, the hand more instrumental to the mouth, than is the throne of Denmark to thy father. What wouldst thou have, Laertes? My dread lord, your leave and favour to return to France, from whence, though willingly, I came to Denmark to show my duty in your coronation. Yet now I must confess, that duty done, my thoughts and wishes bend again toward France, and bow them to your gracious leave and pardon. Have you your father's leave? What says Polonius? Hath my lord wrung from me my slow leave by laboursome petition, and at last upon his will I sealed my hard consent. I do beseech you, give him leave to go. Take thy fair hour, Laertes, time be thine, and thy best graces spend it at thy will. But now, my cousin Hamlet, and my son. And now we meet Hamlet, and his very first line is, a little more than kin, and less than kind. Do you see how kind and kin? Kind is just kin with one extra letter. He says, you're a little more than kin. You're my uncle and my stepdad, and less than kind. My footnote tells us kind can mean kind like we think, but also natural. It's not natural that my former uncle Dad? You're a little more than Ken, and less than kind. How is it that the clouds still hang on you? Not so, my lord. I'm too much in the sun. In the sun of the king's favor? Sometimes being in the sun could be being in the presence of the king. I spend too much time with the current king. His mom, the queen, speaks up. Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted colour off, and let thine eye look like a friend to Denmark. Do not forever with thy veiled lids seek for thy noble father in the dust. Thou knowest 'tis common. All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity. His mom says you can't mourn your dad forever. It's common. Everybody dies. And he says, aye, madam, it is common. Common can also mean low class. It's very low class that his mom has married her brother-in-law. She doesn't catch that meaning, though. If it be, why seems it so particular with thee? Seems, madam? Nay, it is. I know not seems. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor customary suits of solemn black, nor windy suspiration of forced breath. No, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejected haviour of the visage, together with all forms, moods, shapes of grief, that can denote me truly. Because you seem like you're still grieving. He says, no. Seems? Wearing black, crying, being dejected looking. These indeed seem, for they are actions that a man might play. But I have that within which passes show. These, but the trappings and the suits of woe. The king now joins the conversation. 'Tis sweet and commendable in your nature, Hamlet, to give these mourning duties to your father. But you must know your father lost a father. That father lost his, and the survivor bound in filial obligation for some term to do obsequious sorrow. But to persever in obstinate condolement is a course of impious stubbornness. 'Tis unmanly grief. It shows a will most incorrect to heaven, a heart unfortified, a mind impatient, an understanding simple and unschooled. For what we know must be, and is as common as any the most vulgar thing to sense. Why should we in our peevish opposition take it to heart? You know, people die. You need to get over it. Fie, 'tis a fault to heaven, a fault against the dead, a fault to nature, to reason most absurd, whose common theme is death of fathers, and who still hath cried from the first course till he that died today, this must be so. We pray you, throw to earth this unprevailing woe, and think of us as of a father. For let the world take note, you are the most immediate to our throne, and with no less nobility of love than that which dearest father bears his son, do I impart toward you. All right, now, I have a question. Claudius just said, I want everyone to know Hamlet is the next in line for the throne. I make him the most immediate to our throne. Why is he not king now? His dad was king. He's the king's son. Why is he not king? For your intent in going back to school in Wittenberg, it is most retrograde to our desire, and we beseech you bend you to remain here in the cheer and comfort of our eye, our chiefest courtier, cousin, and our son. As far as you wanting to go back to school in Germany, no, we want you to stay here. Let not thy mother lose her prayers, Hamlet. I pray thee stay with us, go not to Wittenberg. I shall in all my best obey you, madam. Why, 'tis a loving and a fair reply. Be as ourself in Denmark. Madam, come. This gentle and unforced accord of Hamlet sits smiling to my heart, in grace whereof no jocund health that Denmark drinks today, but the great cannon to the clouds shall tell, and the kings rouse the heavens shall bruit again, bespeaking earthly thunder. I'm so happy because Hamlet's, we're all getting along. We're a nice, happy family again. Hamlet's agreeing to obey. You know what? I'm just so happy. Every time I take a drink today, the cannons are going to go off just to celebrate. Come, away. And all leave but Hamlet. And Hamlet's going to have a conversation with himself. This is called a soliloquy. And it lets us know what's happening in Hamlet's mind. Oh, that this too sullied flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Or that the everlasting had not fixed his canon against self-slaughter. I wish my body would just melt away. I wish God did not tell us we can't kill ourselves. Fixed his canon against self-slaughter. Oh, God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seems to me all the uses of the world. Fie. 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely. That it should come to this, but 2 months dead, nay, not so much, not 2. So excellent a king, that was to this Hyperion to a satyr. So loving to my mother that he might not beteem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth, must I remember? Why, she would hang on him, as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on, and yet within a month. Let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month, or ere those shoes were old, with which she followed my poor father's body, like Niobe, all tears. Why, even she, oh God, a beast that once discourse of reason would have mourned longer. Married with my uncle, my father's brother, no more like my father than I to Hercules. Within a month, ere yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her galled eyes, she married. O most wicked speed, to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets. It is not, nor it cannot come to good. But break my heart, for I must hold my tongue. And in come Horatio, Marcellus, and Bernardo, and we know what they have to say. They've got some startling news. Horatio says, "Hail to your lordship. I am glad to see you well." Horatio, or I do forget myself. The same, my lord, and your poor servant ever. Sir, my good friend, I'll change that name with you. And what make you from Wittenberg? Horatio? Marcellus? My good lord, I'm very glad to see you. Good even, sir. But what in faith make you from Wittenberg? A truant disposition, good my lord. I would not hear your enemy say so, nor shall you do my ear that violence to make it truster of your own report against yourself. I know you are no truant, but what is your affair in Elsinore? We'll teach you to drink deep ere you depart. My lord, I came to see your father's funeral. I prithee do not mock me, fellow student. I think it was to see my mother's wedding. Indeed, my lord, it followed hard upon. Thrift, Horatio. The funeral baked meats did coldly furnish forth the marriage tables. He says, oh, yeah, they got married so fast. It's thrifty. It's good stewardship. They used some of the funeral meal for the wedding reception. Would I had met my dearest foe in heaven, or ever I had seen that day, Horatio. My father. Methinks I see my father. Where, my lord? In my mind's eye, Horatio. I saw him once. 'Twas a goodly king. He was a man. Take him for all in all. I shall not look upon his like again. My lord, I think I saw him yesternight. Saw? Who? My lord, the king, your father. The king, my father? Season your admiration for a while with an attent ear, that I may deliver, till I may deliver upon the witness of these gentlemen this marvel to you. For God's love, let me hear. 2 nights together had these gentlemen, Marcellus and Bernardo, on their watch, in the dead waste and middle of the night, been thus encountered. A figure like your father, armed at point exactly, cap a pie, appears before them, and with solemn march goes slow and stately by them. Thrice he walked by their oppressed and fear-surprised eyes, within his truncheon's length, whilst they, distilled almost to jelly with the act of fear, stand dumb and speak not to him. This to me, in dreadful secrecy, impart they did. And I with them the third night kept the watch, where, as they had delivered, both in time, form of the thing, each word made true and good, the apparition comes. I knew your father. These hands are not more like. But where was this? My lord, upon the platform where we watch. Did you not speak to it? My lord, I did, but answer made it none. Yet once methought it lifted up its head, and did address itself to motion, like as it would speak. But even then the morning cock crew loud, and at the sound it shrunk in haste away and vanished from our sight. 'Tis very strange. As I do live, my honoured lord, 'tis true, and we did think it writ down in our duty to let you know of it. Indeed, indeed, sirs, but this troubles me. Hold you the watch tonight? We do, my lord. Armed, you say? Armed, my lord. From top to toe? My lord, from head to foot. Then saw you not his face? Oh, yes, my lord, he wore his beaver up, his visor. What, looked he frowningly? A countenance more in sorrow than in anger. Pale or red? Nay, very pale. And fixed his eyes upon you? Most constantly. I would I had been there. It would have much amazed you. Very like, very like. Stayed it long? While one with moderate haste might tell 100. Longer. Well, not when I saw it. His beard was grizzled, no? It was as I have seen it in his life, a sable silvered. I will watch tonight. Perchance 'twill walk again. I warrant 'twill. If it assume my noble father's person, I'll speak to it, though hell itself should gape and bid me hold my peace. I pray you all, if you have hitherto concealed this sight, let it be tenable in your silence still. Don't tell anyone else about this. And whatsoever else shall hap tonight, give it an understanding, but no tongue. I will requite your loves, so fare you well. Upon the platform, 'twixt 11 and 12, I'll visit you. Our duty to your honor. Your loves, as mine to you. Farewell. My father's spirit in arms? All is not well. I doubt some foul play. Would the night would come. Till then, sit still, my soul. Foul deeds will rise, though all the earth o'erwhelm them to men's eyes. Okay. Scene 3. We shift, and we see Laertes and his sister Ophelia. Remember, Laertes has asked for permission to go back to school in France. And the king has given him permission. His dad Polonius has given him permission. And is having kind of a final farewell with his sister. And he says, my necessaries are embarked. Farewell. And sister, as the winds give benefit and convoy is assistant, do not sleep, but let me hear from you. Whenever a boat comes back and forth, send me a letter. Let me hear from you. Do you doubt that? For Hamlet, and the trifling of his favor, hold it a fashion and a toy in blood, a violet in the youth of primy nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting, the perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more. The trifling of his favor. Hamlet has been telling Ophelia that he is interested in her. He's been giving her love notes, been hinting that they're more than friends. And Laertes calls it trifling. Hold it a fashion, a toy, not permanent, not lasting, no more. No more but so? Think it no more. For nature crescent does not grow alone in thews and bulk, but as this temple waxes, the inward service of the mind and soul grows wide withal. He says, as our bodies grow, our minds grow too. Hamlet is still young, and he's still growing up, in a sense. And so, as his body is changing and he's continuing to grow, his mind may change too. Perhaps he loves you now, and now no soil or cautel doth besmirch the virtue of his will. But you must fear his greatness, Wade. His will is not his own. He is of the royal family. He can't just pick whoever he wants. For he himself is subject to his birth. He may not, as unvalued persons do, carve for himself. For on his choice depends the safety and the health of his whole state, and therefore must his choice be circumscribed unto the voice and yielding of that body whereof he is the head. He has to marry where his country dictates he marry. Then if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he in his particular act and place may give his saying deed, which no further than the main voice of Denmark goes withal. If he says he loves you as a private person, not as the Prince of Denmark. Then weigh what loss your honor may sustain, if with too credent ear you list his songs, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open to his unmastered importunity. Fear it, Ophelia, fear it, my dear sister, and keep you in the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. The chariest maid is prodigal enough if she unmask her beauty to the moon. Virtue itself scapes not calumnious strokes. The canker galls the infants of the spring too oft before their buttons be disclosed. And in the morn and liquid dew of youth, contagious blastments are most imminent. Nature shows us that all things in their youth and fresh bloom are most apt to be sullied or destroyed. You're in the freshest bloom, Ophelia, and Hamlet may take advantage of you. Be wary, then. Best safety lies in fear. Youth to itself rebels, though none else near. I shall the effect of this good lesson keep as watchman to my heart. But, good my brother, do not, as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven, whilst, like a puffed and reckless libertine, himself the primrose path of dalliance treads, and recks not his own reed. Oh, if you're giving me advice to stay chaste and pure, you better do it too, Laertes. Oh, fear me not. And as they're talking, in comes his dad, Polonius. I stay too long, but here my father comes. A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles upon a second leave. He's already said goodbye to his dad, but he's still there. His dad didn't know he was still there. And so he says, you yet here, Laertes? Aboard, aboard, for shame. The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for. There, my blessing with thee. And these few precepts, in thy memory, look thou character. Polonius has some parting advice to give to his son. Let's leave it at that. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Don't say everything you're thinking. Don't do everything you think. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. Those friends thou hast, and their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new-hatched, unfledged courage. The best friends you have, tried and true friends, keep them. The ones that are new, that haven't been proved, welcome them, but be wary. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear it that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy. Rich, not gaudy, for the apparel oft proclaims the man. And they in France of the best rank and station are of a most select and generous chief in that. Neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulleth the edge of husbandry. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell, my blessing season this in thee. Most humbly do I take my leave, my lord. The time invests you. Go, your servants tend. Farewell, Ophelia, and remember well what I have said to you. 'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it. He leaves, but Polonius says, "What is it, Ophelia? He has said to you." "So please you, something touching the Lord Hamlet." Mary, well bethought. "'Tis told me he hath very oft of late given private time to you, and you yourself have been of your audience most free and bounteous. If it be so, and so 'tis put on me, and that in way of caution, I must tell you, you do not understand yourself so clearly as it behooves my daughter and your honor. What is it between you? Give me up the truth." "He hath, my lord, of late made many tenders of his affection to me." "Affection? Pooh! You speak like a green girl, unsifted in such perilous circumstance. Do you believe his tenders, as you call them?" "I do not know, my lord, what I should think." "Mary, I will teach you. Think yourself a baby that you have taken these tenders for true pay, which are not sterling. Tender can mean money, but tenders can mean gifts. He says you've taken this for true pay, but it's not silver. Tender yourself more dearly, or, not to crack the wind of the poor phrase running it thus, you'll tender me a fool." "My lord, he hath importuned me with love in honorable fashion." "Ah, fashion you may call it. Go to. "And hath given countenance to his speech, my lord, with almost all the holy vows of heaven." "Aye, springes to catch woodcocks. All his fancy words are just traps to catch gullible birds. I do know, when the blood burns, how prodigal the soul lends the tongue vows. These blazes, daughter, giving more light than heat, extinct in both, even in their promise, as it is making, you must not take for fire. From this time be something scanter of your maiden presence. Set your entreatments at a higher rate than a command to parle. Every time he says he wants to talk to you, you don't have to agree. You need to be a little more scarce. You need to be hard to get. For Lord Hamlet, believe so much in him that he is young, and with a larger tether may he walk than may be given you." He says kind of the opposite of Laertes. He says, he's got more options. He's got a longer tether, like a longer leash. He's got a bigger area he can roam in than you. Your path is pretty much laid out for you. In few, Ophelia, do not believe his vows, for they are brokers, not of that dye which their investments show, but mere implorators of unholy suits, breathing like sanctified and pious bawds, the better to beguile. This is for all. I would not, in plain terms, from this time forth, have you so slander any moment leisure as to give words or talk with the Lord Hamlet. Look to it, I charge you. Come your ways." "I shall obey, my lord." She's not supposed to talk to Hamlet anymore. I want you to stay away from him. Stay away from that boy. All right. Scene 4. We go back up on the guard platform. It is the next night, and Hamlet is there with Horatio and Marcellus. The air bites shrewdly. It's very cold. It is a nipping and an eager air. What hour now? I think it lacks of 12. No, it is struck. Indeed, I heard it not. It then draws near the season wherein the spirit held his wont to walk. And suddenly they hear trumpets blaring, and guns or cannons shoot. What does this mean, my lord? "The king doth wake tonight, and takes his rouse, keeps wassail, and the swaggering upspring reels, and as he drains his draughts of Rhenish down, the kettle drum and trumpet thus bray out the triumph of his pledge." He's partying. The king is partying, and as we said before, every time he takes a drink, they blow the trumpets and shoot off the cannons. Is it a custom? Aye, marry is't. But to my mind, though I am native here, and to the manner born, it is a custom more honored in the breach than in the observance. The breach would be if they don't do it. Hamlet means this custom would be more honored if they didn't do it than if they did do it. It's a stupid custom, he says. I grew up here. I'm used to it, but I still think it's a stupid custom. This heavy-headed revel, east and west, makes us traduced and taxed of other nations. They keep us drunkards, and with swinish phrase soil our addition. And indeed, it takes from our achievements, though performed at height, the pith and marrow of our attribute. Other countries think we're a bunch of drunkards when we do this, when we party all the time. It makes us look bad internationally. So, oft it chances in particular men that for some vicious mole of nature in them, as in their birth, wherein they are not guilty, since nature cannot choose his origin, by the o'ergrowth of some complexion, oft breaking down the pails and forts of reason, or by some habit that too much o'erleavens the form of plausive manners, that these men, carrying, I say, the stamp of one defect, being nature's livery or fortune's star, their virtues else, be they as pure as grace, as infinite as man may undergo, shall in the general censure take corruption from that particular fault. Sometimes there's somebody and they have just an inborn natural character flaw. And, otherwise they can just be great. But everybody catches on that one character flaw. And in the general censure, in everybody condemning them, take corruption from that particular fault. They're known as the person who's, too angry or what have you. And he says, Denmark is like that. We're a good country. We have this stupid fault, the partying celebration. And in the general censure, we take corruption from that particular fault. The dram of veal doth all the noble substance of a doubt to his own scandal. Here comes the ghost. Look, my lord, it comes. Angels and ministers of grace defend us. Be thou a spirit of health or goblin damned, bring with thee airs from heaven or blasts from hell. Be thy intents wicked or charitable, thou comest in such a questionable shape that I will speak to thee. I'll call thee Hamlet, king, father, royal Dane. Oh, answer me! Let me not burst in ignorance, but tell why thy canonized bones, hearsed in death, have burst their cerements, why the sepulchre wherein we saw thee quietly interred hath oped his ponderous and marble jaws to cast thee up again. We buried you. Why are you here again? What may this mean, that thou, dead corse, again, in complete steel, revisits thus the glimpses of the moon, making night hideous, and we fools of nature so horridly to shake our disposition, with thoughts beyond the reaches of our souls? Say, why is this? Wherefore? What should we do? The ghost beckons Hamlet. It beckons you to go away with it, as if it some impartment did desire to you alone. Look, with what courteous action it waves you to a more removed ground, but do not go with it. No, by no means. It will not speak. Then I will follow it. Do not, my lord. Why, what should be the fear? I do not set my life at a pin's fee, and for my soul, what can it do to that, being a thing immortal as itself? It waves me forth again. I'll follow it. What if it tempt you toward the flood, my lord, or to the dreadful summit of the cliff that beetles o'er his base into the sea, and there assume some other horrible form which might deprive your sovereignty of reason and draw you into madness? Think on it. We don't know what this is. It looks like your dad. It may be your dad. It may not be your dad. What if it lures you somewhere and then becomes something horrible and it deprives you of your reason and, makes you jump off a cliff into the sea or something? The very place puts toys of desperation without more motive into every brain that looks so many fathoms to the sea and hears it roar beneath. Even normal people, when they stand on the cliff and look into the sea, it creeps them out a little bit. Sometimes people get the urge to jump or something. What if you have some demon trying to get you to do it? It waves me still. Go on, I'll follow thee. You shall not go, my lord. Hold up your hands. Be ruled, you shall not go. My fate cries out and makes each petty artery in this body as hardy as the Nemean lion's nerve. Still, I called. Unhand me, gentlemen. By heaven, I'll make a ghost of him that lets me. I say, away. Go on, I'll follow thee. And the ghost and Hamlet move away, and Horatio says he waxes desperate with imagination. Let's follow. 'Tis not fit thus to obey him. Have after. To what issue will this come? Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Heaven will direct it. Nay, let's follow him. So they're following at a distance. But scene 5 is just a continuation of scene 4. Hamlet moves away, and the ghost talks to him alone. Whither wilt thou lead me? Speak! I'll go no further. Mark me. I will. My hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself. Alas, poor ghost! Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold. Speak, I am bound to hear. So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear. What? I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fasten fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. Right? Basically, he's in purgatory. But that I am forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house. I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood, make thy two eyes like stars start from their spheres, thy knotted and combined locks to part, and each particular hair to stand on end like quills upon the fearful porpentine. Oh, I know things. I could tell you stories about where I am during the day, make every single one of your hairs stand up like porcupine quills. But this eternal blazon must not be to ears of flesh and blood. List, list, oh list, if thou didst ever thy dear father love. Oh God, says Hamlet, revenge his foul and most unnatural murder. Murder? Murder most foul, as in the best it is, but this most foul, strange, and unnatural. Murder's always foul, says the ghost, but this one's even worse than the normal. Haste me to know it, that I, with wings as swift as meditation or the thoughts of love, may sweep to my revenge. I find thee apt, and duller shouldst thou be than the fat weed that roots itself in ease on Lethe wharf, wouldst thou not stir in this. Now, Hamlet, hear. 'Tis given out that sleeping in my orchard, a serpent stung me. That's the story of how the former king died. So the whole ear of Denmark is by a forged process of my death rankly abused. But know, thou noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears the crown. Oh, my prophetic soul, my uncle! Aye, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, with witchcraft of his wits, with traitorous gifts, O wicked wit and gifts that have the power so to seduce, won to his shameful lust the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. O Hamlet, what a falling off was there! From me, whose love was of that dignity that it went hand in hand even with the vow I made to her in marriage, and to decline upon a wretch whose natural gifts were poor to those of mine. But virtue, as it never will be moved, though lewdness courted in a shape of heaven, so lust, though to a radiant angel linked, will sate itself in a celestial bed and prey on garbage. He has seduced my queen, and she has fallen off, just like Hamlet said earlier, from someone so much better to someone so much worse. But soft, methinks I scent the morning air. Brief let me be. Sleeping within my orchard, my custom always of the afternoon, upon my secure hour thy uncle stole with juice of cursed Hebona in a vial, and in the porches of my ears did pour the leprous distilment, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of man, that swift as quicksilver it courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, and with a sudden vigor it doth posset and curd like eager droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood. He poured poison in his ear that makes your blood curdle. So did it mine, and a most instant tetter barked about, most lazar-like, with vile and loathsome crust, all my smooth body. Thus was I sleeping, by a brother's hand, of life, of crown, of queen, at once dispatched, cut off even in the blossoms of my sin, unhouseled, disappointed, unannaled, no reckoning made, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head. I had no time to ask for forgiveness, final forgiveness of my sins. Suddenly I was just dead. Oh, horrible, most horrible. If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. But Howsoever thou pursues this act, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Don't do anything to your mother. Leave her to heaven, again, and to those thorns that in her bosom lodge, to prick and sting her. As far as we know, Gertrude was not in on this murder. Her fault is apparently to have possibly been attracted to Claudius before, but to have married him almost immediately. Fare thee well at once. The glowworm that shows the matin to be near, and gins to pale his ineffectual fire. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Remember me. And he leaves, and Hamlet is alone. Oh, all you host of heaven! Oh, earth! What else? And shall I couple hell? Oh, fie! Hold, hold my heart, and you, my sinews, grow not instant old, but bear me stiffly up. Remember thee, aye, thou poor ghost, whiles memory holds a seat in this distracted globe. Remember thee, yea, from the table of my memory I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past that youth and observation copied there. And thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain. I'm going to forget everything else I ever learned. I am only going to know this. Unmixed with baser matter. Yes, by heaven. Oh, most pernicious woman. Oh, villain, villain, smiling, damned villain. My tables. Meet it is, I set it down, that one may smile and be a villain. At least I am sure it may be so in Denmark. So, uncle, there you are. Now to my word. It is adieu, adieu, remember me. I've sworn it. All right, remember Horatio and Marcellus are not far away. They come in. My lord, Lord Hamlet. Heaven secure him. So be it. Hello, ho, ho, my lord. Hello, ho, ho, boy. Come, bird, come. He's acting really weird. How is it, my noble lord? What news, my lord? Oh, wonderful. Good, my lord, tell it. No, you will reveal it. Not I, my lord, by heaven. Nor I, my lord. How say you then? Would heart of man once think it, but you'll be secret? Aye, by heaven, my lord. And then he leans over like he's telling him a secret. There's never a villain dwelling in all Denmark, but he's an arrant knave. There needs no ghost, my lord, come from the grave to tell us this. Why, right, you are in the right, and so, without more circumstance at all, I hold it fit that we shake hands and part. You, as your business and desire shall point you, for every man hath business and desire, such as it is, and for my own poor part, look you all go pray. These are but wild and whirling words, my lord. I'm sorry they offend you heartily. Yes, faith, heartily. There's no offense, my lord. Yes, by St. Patrick, but there is, Horatio, and much offense, too. You know, Horatio said, you're kind of babbling. And Hamlet says, oh, I'm sorry my words offend you. And Horatio says, oh, I'm not offended. There's no offense. But Hamlet jumps on there being something else that is offensive. His uncle. Yes, by St. Patrick. There is, Horatio, and much offense, too. Touching this vision here, it is an honest ghost, let me tell you that. For your desire to know what is between us, or master it as you may. And now, good friends, as your friends, scholars, and soldiers, give me one poor request. What is it, my lord? We will. Never make known what you have seen tonight. My lord, we will not. Nay, swear it. In faith, my lord, not I. Nor I, my lord, in faith. Upon my sword. Hamlet wants them to lay their hands on his sword and swear it on his sword. We have sworn, my lord, already. Indeed, upon my sword, indeed. And the ghost from under the stage says, swear. Ha, boy, sayest thou so? Art thou there, true penny? Come on, you hear this fellow in the cellarage. Consent to swear. Propose the oath, my lord. Never to speak of this that you have seen. Swear by my sword. Swear. He could do be quick? Then we'll shift our ground. Since apparently the voice may be moving around. He thinks the ghost wants him to swear in various places. they move to another spot. Come hither, gentlemen, and lay your hands again upon my sword. Swear by my sword never to speak of this you have heard. Swear by his sword. Well said, old mole. Canst work in the earth so fast? A worthy pioneer. Once more remove, good friends. Oh, day and night, but this is wondrous strange. And therefore, as a stranger, give it welcome. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. But come, here as before, never, so help you mercy, how strange or odd soe'er I bear myself, as I perchance hereafter shall think meet to put an antic disposition on, that you at such times seeing me, never shall, with arms encumbered thus, or with this head shake, or by pronouncing of some doubtful phrase, as well, well, we know, or we couldn't if we would, or if we list to speak, or there being if they might, or some ambiguous giving out, to note that you know aught of me. This do swear, so grace and mercy at your most need help you. He says, I, perchance, hereafter shall think it appropriate to put an antic disposition on. I may pretend to be mildly crazy and say all sorts of rot. And if I do, you need to promise never to say anything. You don't speculate why I might be crazy or not be crazy or whether I am. Don't tell anybody what happened here tonight. And the ghost says again, swear. Rest, rest, perturbed spirit. So, gentlemen, with all my love I do commend me to you, and what so poor a man as Hamlet is may do, to express his love and friending to you, God willing shall not lack. Let us go in together, and still your fingers on your lips, I pray you. The time is out of joint. Oh, cursed spite that ever I was born to put it right, to set it right. And they wait for him to leave first. But he says, nay, nay, come, let's go together. All right, that is Act 1 of Hamlet. When you're ready to read Act 2, bring it up. We'll talk it over in class. Thanks for reading with me, guys. Bye-bye.